Well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. Today we are inside of the 2014 Jaguar XJ L Portfolio Edition rear-wheel drive. It is a vehicle with about 91,000 miles. So again, I apologize for the slight bit of clickbait. We are about 9,000 miles off of 100,000. I do truly apologize for that. However, who do we have to thank for this opportunity? Well, it is none other than Cary Imports. So if you're interested in some of these vehicles that they have here with the warranty, you may hit up their website. And yes, they do actually ship these vehicles, so up upon your own expense, of course, but that is a possibility. They can arrange that. Anyway, their information will be down below. Now let's just get this bad boy out on the road. Now, I have actually personally driven an XJL before, just not one with this many miles. And the XJ is actually one of my most favorite big body cars out there, to be honest, because it is a vehicle that matches its size and just drives stupendously. But more importantly, I guess, just look at it. You are Jay-Z when you're behind the wheel of this thing piloting it, because there is no car within this class with this much swagger. I mean, yeah, the Mercedes is cool, but this is really the one it's different. It's got a great look to it. They haven't changed it really since 2011. It's just a fantastic looking vehicle that it really stands out when you pull up to places. So I love the looks of it. This particular vehicle has the 19-inch wheels on it. 245 wide tires up front, 275 wide tires in the back. So talking about this drive a little bit, I love cars that match their size. I mean, this thing feels like half the size out on the road here. And it is a pretty massive vehicle. I think it's 204, 206 inches long. I mean, that is some serious size for sure, but it just doesn't feel it. You know what I'm saying? It feels like I'm driving a little Acura TSX or something like that. It really does not feel the size at all or the width. But as we talk about the interior segment, dude, there's a bunch of space in the rear seats. That is, of course, to be expected. Now, this isn't my car. I don't have all the, service records or whatever the hell that you people want to see, but it's still going to be a good chance to see how this thing has held up. Yeah, dude, this thing, it'll bend a corner just effortlessly. It is by far, I drove the 750 Li at the same dealership, and I love that car, but I think this just edges it out just 2-3%. I mean, that was a great driving vehicle as well, but man, this is just absolutely superb in its own right. And that 3-liter supercharged V6. The only other vehicle I drove kind of sort of in this segment with the engine setup like that was the Audi A7, also at this dealership. I really like the supercharging idea because there's pretty much no lag essentially. I get it on paper, those turbo engines typically do better on gas mileage, but I think a small little supercharger is a great idea because this thing produces about 340 horsepower, 332 pounds-feet of torque. Enough power to make this thing feel effortless and to just really glide this thing around. Ride quality in this thing is really comfortable, actually. Similar to the BMW 750, and that makes sense. I mean, these are the two cars in the segment that kind of still focus on driving, if you will, so it makes sense that it's a tad bit firmer than something like an LS or an S-Class or something like that, but it is still stupid comfortable. I mean, this is probably even a bit more comfortable than the Genesis G80, which is a car I really like, so yeah, ride quality, it's pretty stupendous for what this is and the way that this thing handles. It does use a heavy amount of aluminum in this thing. Actually, it only weighs 3,900 pounds, which is one of the lightest big body cars. Most of these things weigh around 4,000. This thing is around mid-sized luxury sedan levels of weight. So that also really aids it in the driving capabilities of this vehicle. It's the body is heavily made out of aluminum, so that's a great thing about Jaguar that I really appreciate. I mean, so far driving it, there's no weirdness with it. There's just no stupid check engine lights or anything like that. I like this little gear knob thing here. I'll kind of put it into the sport mode. I wish there was just a button for that, but is what it is. Yeah, just effortless handling out of this thing. I feel like you just... Yeah, dude, that is amazing power for sure. None of it really translates into the cabin though, which I kind of find interesting. It really isolates you, but the performance is all there. I mean, this by far has the least amount of body roll, that is for sure. And you know, this thing really holding onto the gears, which I really like. There's there are some paddles here actually. Yeah, this thing, it really does isolate you. You know, there's hardly any wind noise or road noise or anything like that. That also helps, and that also aids fulfilling that luxury car side of things too, I guess. I mean, it's kind of doing that jack of all trades thing extremely well. The steering is kind of light. You know, it's called a Jaguar, and I kind of get it. You know, it's very like light on its feet. That's really how this thing feels. It definitely, you know, this Jaguar has a unique feel that none of the other cars in this segment or class really have, and I really love that. The brakes are stupendous, weighted correctly, of course, and it has immense stopping power, so I really enjoy that. Just everything about this driving experience is super natural. Yeah, really crisp upshifts and downshifts. Downshifts not super crisp, but not bad. Yeah, surprisingly the upshifts are a little bit smoother when you use the paddles, but yeah, this thing does react extremely well. Yeah, you know, this thing is the rear-wheel drive model, so you can definitely get this thing sideways if you want to, but it is really controllable though. Yeah, dude, as a big body driving utensil, I think this is pretty much unmatched. And on top of that, just the refinement of it, I feel like, you know, I drove a 2013 S-Class and just went over some railroad bumps there, absolutely stupendous. But yeah, I drove an S-Class and it wasn't nearly as refined, and yeah, it drove great, but this just drives a little bit better. That was, you know, that was a V8, so it was a complete rocket ship off the line though. Same with that BMW. The BMW is actually a little bit faster, actually a lot faster in this, but this is still really good and effortless, most importantly. No real like tire spin or anything like that off the line, which I really like. Lots of grip. This is going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people are going to expect a vehicle of this size to handle this well and this effortlessly for the most part. It's a supercharger, so it actually like builds up the power nicely. You also have a great just driving position in this thing. The amount of adjustability you have in this thing is absolutely excellent. The rear window is the only kind of limiting thing to the you know, visibility in this thing. But you know, it's not a turbocharged vehicle, so you don't actually get all the power like down low. It actually builds up almost like a naturally aspirated vehicle, which is kind of the benefit you get as a supercharged vehicle actually. And I kind of like that. Okay, so the drive in this thing is absolutely excellent. So let's just go ahead and bend this corner real quick and talk about that interior. So this interior, right? That's kind of the only place where I see some faults with this vehicle. Yes, it's a Jaguar, it's not a Lexus. It hasn't aged like a Lexus, to be honest. Some of the rubberization on the buttons here, it's kind of melted off, I guess, so it feels kind of sticky, some of the buttons. Some components feel a bit crunchy, but hey, you know what? It's held up a lot better than the S-Class with similar miles, so I appreciate that. You know, some of these chrome bits have you know, slightly been scratched up here, but as a whole, though, it's still a pretty solid experience because there are no creaks and rattles, which is a great thing. A lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, it rides really good, so it's gonna not be too terrible in here. You know, that 750 Li that I drove also felt pretty solid as a cabin because it's just a great riding car, so it's not going to shake up the interior panels too much. And you know, this is a flagship vehicle, of course, so you know, this nice leather wrapped dash here is really nice little clock, of course. I love this wood trimming that goes all around here. It's a nice big block of wood, so I really love that. Meridian sound system, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't sound absolutely stellar, but it's okay, it's pretty loud. The gauges, you know, it's all digital, but it's not like it doesn't have the most crispness in the gauge cluster, but it's okay as a whole. You know, it does a job, very legible, easy to read. And again, a lot more like chrome and like, you know, piano black plastic used, more so than this class typically would actually. But I do still appreciate this cabin space. It's rather simple to use. This 8-inch touchscreen actually still reacts really well. Pretty quick to respond, easy to use. Nice big blocky buttons, I guess. You know, the steering is super light. It just makes it really easy to just pilot around every day, especially in tight little parking spots. It's a really easy car to get in and out of to drive, so I appreciate that. But going back, you know, it does have one-touch automatic window switches for all 4 windows. I really like that. Memory seats, of course. You have 2 different places to lock and unlock the vehicle, up here in the front near the infotainment, as well as here on the door panel, so I like that. Soft closing doors, always a great touch. Again, like I mentioned at the drive, I really like this this gear selection knob. That's a great touch, of course. Decent amount of space in the side armrest here. All the climate control stuff, it is easy to use. However, the temperature stuff is actually integrated with the screen, so there it is. That the glove box, actually, it's like this one touch thing, with this kind of fingerprint reading button, so that's kind of cool, I guess. The seats are really comfortable. It's not the best leather quality, so like it hasn't aged absolutely perfectly. A bit more wrinkles, but it is super comfortable, and like it'll fit like large humans, no problem. The rear seats, dude, of course, I mean, you can be LeBron James back there, and there is no issues with leg room. I can cross my legs back there, no issues. It is the extended wheelbase one, of course, so there is that. You can't fold down the seats or anything like that. There's no fancy controls or anything crazy back there. As far as sunshades goes, there is a peasant blocker, but it is manually adjusted. But hey, at least it has it, so that's good. Again, the wood trimming kind of follows back there, which I really like. Again, though, this whole cabin feels pretty solid. No creaks and rattles, again, at 91,000 miles, so that is a great thing. I don't detect any, like, strangeness with the engine or anything like that. Everything kind of operates smoothly, at least. The transmission's not skipping gears or anything stupid like that, so that's good. Kind of end off with the trunk here. Pretty large. I mean, of course, in this class of vehicle, the big body category, all the trunks are going to be really huge. You do have a spare tire down there. It's like an orange spare tire, similar to like a Porsche, to let everyone know that you busted a tire in here, I guess. So I found that to be a little bit funny, but hey, at least in this car it does come with it, so that's great. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of nice little touches in here that you can appreciate, like these aviation inspired like climate control vents here that you can kind of move around in a circular fashion. It's a simplistic interior. It's not as crazy as you might expect out of even in something like an LS or a S-Class or something like that, so I do really enjoy that. Everything's easy to use, easy to operate. Nothing is super stressful in here, and it's a car that I feel like it's going to be very rewarding to own in the long term, I guess. I get it. I know what you're about to say, but hey, just pay up for that warranty. It does cost a little bit more than $2,700 for this particular car because it is a Jaguar, of course. But at least you can buy it at the end of the depreciation curve at like what, 15 grand, and still I don't know, pay like 5 grand for a warranty and be around 20 G's to be driving around looking like Jay-Z. So that's something I appreciate. It's aged a lot better than I expected. And that's pretty much it, man. That's my driving review. If you guys have checked this vehicle out in the past, or if you own one of these things, let me know down in the description box below what you guys think. I feel like the reliability has gone up since Tata has owned it, I guess. That's what I've heard anyway. Don't quote me on that. But again, leave your thoughts down below. I would like to hear them. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Take care and goodbye.